Issue 4. Another one of the Mega Collection comic issues. So Eggman vows that the next animal he captures will be turned into the ultimate killer robot, only to be annoyed that a really small and harmless looking lizard was what was captured. It's never explained why they used the extra large container if they didn't actually need to. I guess they lost the other size containers or something and had no choice but to use a large one. Did they drop them down a hill or something? Still, this seems like it just arbitrarily happened for the sake of a joke, which is the point where comedy becomes intrusive. Why wasn't the animal inside tied up or restrained in some way so that it wouldn't be able to run free the minute the container was opened? Imagine if it really was an elephant or a rhino. It would have barreled right through Eggman. Eggman decides to use the lizard anyways because he's stubborn enough to always keep his word. To himself anyways. But still sends the robots into the slag shop for their efforts, being an ungrateful boss once again. What kind of work would that even entail to justify them being unhappy about it? I'm missing some context here, and like one image could have solved that problem. Eggman tells the robot to turn up the air conditioning, only for the robot to reveal that it doesn't know what it's supposed to do to follow that order, and pulls the size control knob instead. Two problems here. First, why doesn't the robot have it programmed into him what to do to turn up the air conditioning? Why would it ever push a button it's not programmed to? Is it sentient? And two, if there's a size control knob, then why did Eggman even care about the lizard being too small? Just increase the size. If anything, it being small was a good thing because it made it more convenient for him to carry it into the roboticizer. Why did he care about the size at all? The only problem is that apparently the robot will break free of Robotnik's control and start inconveniencing even him if it becomes too large. Somehow. But why would it still be evil and destructive even after growing that big? Why would Robotnik program the machine to make that be the case? So now that the lizard's become a giant robot that wants to take over the world for itself, and one that's now able to talk at that, all because it's too big. What was the point of giving its stupid name proper capitalization in the first place? Does it make it stand out? Putting it in bold would have done that just fine. So basically, we have a giant dinosaur robot going after Sonic. What was the point of Sonic mentioning the name of the comic book? Every single fourth wall breaking joke is pointless. I see they both have Sega Genesis and awareness of Jurassic Park in Sonic's universe. Good thing Rotor has a TV monitor that can show them that robot so Sonic can stop them. So, I'm wondering, does the TV monitor get its data from an invisible camera that is invisible so Eggman can't see it and find Knothole because he sees it? So, Sonic spin dashes into the robot's mouth by mistake, and his friends all see this on the monitor and are horrified. Even Antoine is unhappy, even though you'd think after all the mistreatment he suffered from him that he'd have to fake that. Tails is made to look like a complete idiot though, by assuming that the monitor's just showing him the Jurassic Park movie, even though he just saw Sonic on the screen. Fortunately, Sonic survives by not only avoiding being crushed and stuff by its sharp teeth somehow, but also by spin dashing back and forth in its mouth to make it want to spit him out. Because we all know robots can get nauseous. What was the point of trying to pretend Sonic was killed off so early in the comic? A lighthearted comic at that. And this wasn't the place for comedy, it's just watering the tension down. This is supposed to be a big, epic, action-y issue. What was the point of Antoine saying the wrong word there in an intense moment? It's supposed to be that even the comic relief characters are scared, to tell the audience that the situation is serious. And only after the serious situation is the comedy relief character supposed to be comedic. Because it's to calm the audience down afterwards. And furthermore, this doesn't even make sense. I don't understand why Antoine would even make this mistake. Scavenged does make sense in that context if he means that he doesn't think Sonic's dead and wants to retrieve his body. But he apparently meant avenged. And as someone who's been studying French, I don't see how he could fuse those two words. The French word for avenge is venger. So that's just one letter off from avenge. Why would he have trouble adjusting to the English translation when it's almost literally the exact same word? I'm starting to worry that the jokes off Antoine's struggles with English are going to make absolutely no sense and only be there for the sake of a joke, rather than actually making sense for someone who's new to English from French. And the only way this can be justified is that maybe in the Sonic universe the French language shares only a few passing similarities with our French. At least I'll have fun deconstructing why it makes no sense for Antoine to make the mistakes he does. The real problem I have with this is that it makes no sense for Antoine to want to avenge Sonic when he's treated like crap by him. And his admitting to admiration of him later makes no sense either. It comes off as Gary Stewish, like, look kids, even Antoine loves Sonic. Love our mascot, kids, love him! So after Sonic collects enough rings, he goes into a Sonic 2 special stage, and defeats the robot with Super Sonic. Makes perfect sense that he'd need a super form to deal with such a robot, so I have no real complaints with it. I can't imagine him defeating the robot without it. The problem is that he has all these emeralds right away, so that feels like a Deus Ex Machina. At least have him spend the entire issue looking for Chaos Emeralds and finding them first. I'm not sure how he'd find them without a radar specifically attuned to them, but whatever. It's just really underwhelming that even though he goes through all this trouble going super, Sonic eventually foils the robot just by turning it tiny and crushing it with his shoe. What was the point of making him go super then? What was the point of having Deus Ex Machina then? It was supposed to be funny, I guess. It is definitely a creative way of, like, it is a twist. I like that. And then we have Antoine humiliated with a whoopee cushion. Great. This toilet humor in a Sonic game. Well, not a Sonic comic anyways. I'm so used to saying game. But this is pretty much Color's level of humor. I like the story. It was exciting action and stuff. This is pretty sweet. Tails is around Sonic when he falls asleep, implying that, once again, Sonic spends time with Tails. And Tails idiotically runs off on his own to try to be a hero on his own. He comes across Eggman making a speech to a bunch of his bandits telling them to destroy things. And of course they use Tails as a hostage, because Tails isn't allowed to be worth anything right now. Oh, here's a nice surprise. He's actually allowed to defend himself by the writers. Cool! I like how he asks himself what his hero Sonic would do in that situation to make him being a badass later more believable and relatable, and then actually becomes a badass, fighting out the robots with his tails in a way that you'd expect him to be able to. That's awesome! But sadly, he has some overconfidence after this and tries to take down Eggman all on his own, mentioning Michael Jordan in an unneeded pop culture reference about his out of place as parodying The Godfather was in Sonic Colors. Yes, they did do that. I guess the Sonic universe has a Michael Jordan too? What are the odds? But seriously, this is basically just, we're making pop culture references, so laugh! But anyways, him running straight to Eggman's base alone when he's not nearly as capable in combat as Sonic yet for some reason is really stupid. If he was willing to take a life, I'd be at least able to somewhat believe that he could do it, and understand why he's going there. But since he'd never kill anyone, there's no way this is going to work out well for the Freedom Fighters. He's not going to sneak up behind Eggman and stab him in the back or anything like that. So instead he's just running towards the base with no plan. What's he going to do, tie him up with invisible ropes? This makes him being a genius later on in the comics seem like a random retcon. Thanks to him somehow mistaking a shadow for the real deal, he ends up running into a wall as a result, and ends up almost being roboticized before Sonic magically finds out where he is and saves him. Why did Sonic think it was safe to go to sleep outside the base anyways? I was about to ask why Eggman would ever put self-destruct buttons on his swap bots and how that would ever benefit him, because I thought the robots were only doing this to get out of being killed by Sonic. Then I realized later that the reason Eggman put a self-destruction button on the robots was because the explosions would actually hurt Sonic, like the pig robot spy in the miniseries earlier who became a bomb. And the issue ends with Sonic cheerfully telling Tails to be more patient. Yeah, Sonic lecturing someone else to not be impatient. At least he's not yelling at Tails, risking making him cry or anything, but he still looks extremely condescending here. And it's even worse if you imagine that Tails is supposed to be the audience surrogate, because, what, they think that the audience is just as stupid as Tails here? It's like he's saying this to the kids that are supposed to be their audience. I'd be insulted! In summary, the first story was a nice action. Even if Sonic shouldn't have gotten all those emeralds off screen, but whatever. But the second story was just about Tails being a brainless moron. Not exactly a story that aged very well. And once again, the story was written by Michael Gallagher. So far, I'm liking his work. I mean, granted, it's not without its plot holes and forced jokes, but this is definitely... I've seen worse. Much, much worse.